Welcome to Offscript, a video show for high school, college students, and young professionals looking to learn about the ins and outs of different careers. Today we have Tiff, or known as Tiff the lawyer, across her socials. But Tiff, do you want to introduce yourself? Just talk about your journey, or not your journey, but where you went to school, how long you've been in law, and where you went to law school.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Tiffany. I went to Johns Hopkins for undergrad. That's where Katie and I met. And then I worked for a year in New York City, and then I went to Nashville to get my law degree and my master's in finance from Vanderbilt. Oh, and now I'm a lawyer here in New York City, and I am coming up at the end of my second year being an attorney here.
Yay. And what field of law are you? Is it finance, law,
Yes.
M&A?
So at my firm, the way that it works is if you are a corporate attorney, and we can discuss a little bit more if you want to know what that exactly means, you can choose to rotate through two groups. So you do 2 6-month rotations during your first year. So I did 6 months in the finance group, also known as credit, and then 6 months in the M&A group. And I just enjoyed finance a little bit more. And so now I am a full finance attorney.
I love it. And Tiff is in what's known as big law.
Yes.
But I think for many people, that might not be clear what big law is. So Tiff, can you explain what big law actually means?
Yeah, it's a good question. So big law, I think you can equate it to the big four in accounting or big tech. What it means colloquially is just that it's these big corporate law firms. What it means in actuality, the actual definition, is a certain amount of lawyers that are at every firm. So I think I don't know if it's around 500 lawyers at a firm or 1,000 lawyers. I don't know what the actual number is, but it basically means that these are the elite, huge corporate law firms that tend to represent corporate entities. So I am not a lawyer that represents an individual. I wouldn't be Katie's lawyer. I would be a company's lawyer or a bank's lawyer or these huge entities that you see that exist in the world.
Okay. And so, yeah, there's definitely other lawyers out there, types of lawyers out there outside of big law. But do you typically know before law school that you want to go into big law, or is there, you kind of explore a lot of different fields once you're there?
Yeah, I think that's really dependent on the type of candidate. So I personally did not know, and we can talk about my journey if we want, but I had no idea what big law was before I started law school. I learned about big law during my first year when I was a 1L, and just really ended up gravitating towards it, and we can discuss more. And now I'm in it and I love it. But a lot of people join knowing that they want to go into big law. And also the opposite happens as well. A lot of people join knowing they don't want to go into big law. And we can talk about the pros and cons of big law.
When Tiff and I met, she was studying for the MCAT. So very different from law.
Yeah.
But Tiff, talk about what you thought you wanted to do at Hopkins, kind of what you were pursuing then, and then at what point did it switch to law?
Totally. So I was pre-med, I would even say my whole life. In kindergarten, I wanted to be a doctor, and that stayed true until
Literally
a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So even in high school, I remember I took AP biology, AP chemistry, and AP physics all in the same year. I didn't take any AP history class.
Yeah.
No, I think I took a couple AP history, but I wasn't taking traditionally humanities classes. I didn't do that in college either. So at Johns Hopkins, I was a public health major and a natural sciences major. And I was a minor in marketing and a minor in entrepreneurship and management. So I was a double major, double minor, and I was on the pre-med track. Yeah, no, I did a lot. And I was on the pre-med track, which is a completely different subset.
Right.
Basically like adding another minor onto the whole academic journey.
Yeah.
And I spent every summer at Hopkins preparing for medical school, either if it was studying for the MCAT or
like taking or I don't know if that's what you did.
Exactly, taking summer classes. So I stayed at Johns Hopkins my first year, and I took organic chemistry, and I did the labs. I did the entire pre-med course.
Crazy.
What happened was I was a senior at Johns Hopkins in 2020, and I was scheduled to take the MCAT in April of 2020. And as we all may know, COVID happened March of 2020, and it canceled my MCAT. Wow. And I was they'd already shipped us home. I think I was home. I'm from Los Angeles. I was home in LA. And I remember just thinking, thankfully for me, it already secured my post-grad employment. So I was going to take a gap year anyway. So I was working in healthcare consulting. I was about to start working in healthcare consulting and my MCAT gets canceled. And almost superficially, I didn't want to take 2 gap years.
Yeah.
Knowing what I know now, so fine. That was so dramatic that I didn't want to take 2 gap years.
Before med school.
Yes. It would have been like, that was so dramatic of me to be like, I can only take 1 gap year. But I had always toyed around with the idea of going to law school.
Okay.
It was always at the back of my mind. I remember in middle school or high school, I forget when it was, I did mock trial and debate and loved it. Like I was debate champion. So public speaking was never really, I didn't really shy away from it. So I kind of just on a whim looked into taking the LSAT and it was remote.
Okay.
Versus my MCAT was canceled. There was
there's
no
remote option.
There was no remote option, and there was no announcement of like we're planning on redoing
what's
this.
happening?
Yeah,
It's
so
chaos.
I was like, COVID might be 5 years.
Right,
I don't know how long this is gonna last, right? So they had made the LSAT 2 hours. It used to be 5 hours, and remote. I could take it anywhere. And I was like, you know what? Let me just throw my hat in the ring. I was kind of like, let me see what happens. So I ended up studying for the LSAT, thinking that I was going to do a JD MD dual degree program.
right.
So I was not giving up medical school because I worked so hard for it.
your whole life.
Yeah. So I ended up taking it. I did well on it, decided, okay, let me apply to all these law schools and let me particularly focus on schools that have a JD MD dual degree program.
Oh,
And
okay.
only a handful of schools have a program where they combine both degrees.
Got it.
Vanderbilt happens to be one of them, and they also happen to be an excellent school.
Yeah.
So their JD MD program is 6 years, and you get both degrees.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was why you applied.
So I ended up choosing Vanderbilt for that dual degree option. I clearly did
Yeah,
end
yeah,
up doing
masters
it.
in
We can,
finance.
yeah, we can. There's a pivot
Yeah,
occurred.
yeah.
But anyway, that's the pre-med to law journey.
Got it. And then once you, because now I actually can't even picture you as a
As
doctor.
a doctor, it's so nuts.
Are you super glad that that's the path that you ended up taking?
I am. You know, it's funny because I think a lot about, not to be like boastful or anything, but I did really well at Hopkins. I worked my butt off to do well at Johns Hopkins in the pre-med classes. It did not come easy to me at all. I remember when I was taking organic chemistry the summer after my freshman year, I was like sobbing, trying to like get A's in that class, and I ended up getting an A, but I worked my butt off to graduate with an excellent GPA to go to a good medical school. And my experience in law school was just completely different. I wanted to be a doctor, to be a dermatologist, and I think I would have made an excellent
most competitive, one of the most competitive fields.
It is. And I think I would have made an excellent dermatologist. Would I have made an excellent
The whole path
cancer
to-
researcher? No. So when I was in pre-med, I was like, okay, I'm going to be a doctor and I'm going to be this specific type of doctor, and I know I'm going to be good at it. But my experience in law school, it was so joyful, and
You had the best time.
I had the best time. I really could not speak more highly of my time at Vanderbilt and law school in general and all of my experiences. And not to say that it came easy to me, but I think I just meshed more with that type of career. And now I say this a lot. When I was pre-med and I would look at doctors, I was never like, oh, I'm going to cure cancer, right? I was like, I want to be a dermatologist and I want to focus on high school acne. But as a lawyer, like, I had a tons of acne growing up, and I was like, this is my passion. Anyway, now as a lawyer, if I'm in law school and I see any lawyer doing anything on the planet, I'm like, oh, I could do that. And I think I could be great at it. So I really think that somehow, whatever happened,
the universe,
I really ended up in the career that I was supposed to be.
At what point did that switch, or like at what point did you give up the
MD part?
Yeah.
So the way that because the program, the MD-JD program is it's not sought after often. I think the last person who did it was 2012.
Oh my
and
God,
I was matriculating in 2021. The way that the program works is you can either, I'm not sure you get into both schools at the same time, or if you're in medical school, you apply to law school. So I never got to the application phase to get into medical school. I took the MCAT, and
Tiff and I used to study together, and I was studying for the CFA.
During our year, I was working in consulting, and Katie was working. Can I say?
Yeah.
And Katie was working at Goldman. We were
literally
spent our
studying
Saturdays studying. For the
and I walk.
I was already admitted to law school, by the way, and I was like
Just
studying for
going,
the
like, above
MCAT
and
and Katie was
beyond.
studying for the CFA. That's how we bonded.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I had the MCAT score to then apply to get into Vanderbilt Medical School, but it was my first year. So sorry, let me
Yeah,
backtrack. You apply during your first year of law school
Okay.
to the medical school.
Got it. Okay.
And I was in that year and I was loving law school and loving my classes. And again, I was pre-med, so I didn't really take any of these
Right.
kinds of classes in
It's like
undergrad.
you didn't have the fund in the undergrad setting, right? Because you
I
were
was so
studying.
science
Yeah.
focused. It's in math, girl, my whole life. And I ended up taking an elective. So the way law school works is your first year is all required courses, but at Vanderbilt you can take an elective. So I took corporations and
Okay.
just hit it off with my professor. It was like a 14-person class, and I was just like, it
Loving
was just
it.
like me and
Yeah.
him. And I was just
Oh my
like,
God.
and I didn't even know what a stock was. Like
Oh wait, Tiff was literally like, "What is finance?"
yeah, I genuinely, people would talk about being bankers, and I thought they were bank tellers. You would,
Like, go to the bank.
Yeah, I had absolutely no clue any part of this world. And I just fascinated me. And I remember one day he asked me, he was like, "What are you doing after law school?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to be a doctor." And he was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "What do you mean?" And I explained my situation. He's like, "Well, you should really consider a career in corporate law. I think you'd be great at it."
Oh.
And I ended up going through this identity crisis. I was like, "Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I'm
Yeah.
loving law school so much." And decided, you know what? I'm gonna
do
go.
it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go all in. And I ended up applying to a different dual degree program and got my master's in finance instead. And he ended up writing one of my recommendation letters for that.
That's
Yeah, so that's how
amazing.
that happened.
So he kind of inspired you to go the corporate law.
Yeah, it was
route.
mainly his class because I really enjoyed it. And my thought process at the time was, you know what, law school's only 3 years. This degree, it wasn't going to add an extra year. It
Right.
combined it. So it was only going to be 3 years. And I would graduate with both my master's in finance and my law degree. And I was like, you know what? If I hate it, I'll go to medical school a year after.
Right.
To be honest, because medical school's 4 years, law school's 3 years. That's 7 years total.
Yeah.
The dual degree program for the MD-JD was only 6 years.
Right.
I'm like,
I could
one
sti-
year,
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, 1 year isn't going to kill me. So let me just do this. And if I hate it, I'll go to medical school.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
And now here I
so
am.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's such a crazy story. What's the actual path to, what are the requirements to actually become a lawyer? It's, you have to take the LSAT, go to law
Yes.
school,
Yes.
take the bar.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So you take the LSAT, which is the entrance exam for law school, and then you take your classes,
Yeah.
your law school classes, and then you take the bar exam, which is the state licensing exam for the state you want to practice in. The reason why I hesitated a little bit when I was talking about the exams you take in law school, so you have to pass graduating, pass classes and graduate from an ABA accredited law school. But each state has different types of requirements to be admitted to the state bar that go to law school classes. So for the
Okay.
New York bar, for example, I had to take a certain amount of skills credits.
Like during
And-
school.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm sure if I ended up getting licensed in California and wanted to take the New York bar and license there, I'm sure there's other ways to do it outside of law school.
Yeah.
But if you're in law school, this is the way that you do it. And
Okay.
so I had to keep track, and my law school, of course, helped me keep track of how many skills credits that I was taking.
Okay.
And these are more experiential classes. So things that are not just your normal doctrinal class. So a doctrinal class is you learn from a classic case book and you read the cases and
Got
you
it.
figure out what the law is from there. Whereas the skills credits are more, I want to say, technical and tangible, and you're applying the law instead of just learning the law.
Okay. Got
Yeah.
it. Got it. And then when you were in law school, you did 2 corporate law internships or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So the most common way to do it to secure your big law offer is to do your 2L summer internship, which is the summer after your second year of law school. And you apply for that basically a year before.
Got it.
For me, it was during my summer of my 1L years, the summer after my first year of law school. Now, actually, the recruiting cycle has been moved even further.
Classic.
Yeah,
it's
which
insane.
is nuts to me. So most people are recruiting during their first year of law school
Okay.
to secure their
Their
2L
third,
summer
yeah.
internship, which will secure their employment
Right.
after law school, which is crazy. But yes, at the time, 1L summer internships were harder to come by. Now I think
Okay.
they're a little bit more fruitful. But I really wanted to get that
yeah.
secured. I was like, if
Yeah,
somebody's
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
get it, I want it to be me. So I networked my butt off to secure my 1L summer internship, which I did at a big law firm in Atlanta and had a fabulous time. And then I did my 2L summer internship at a firm in New York City, which is where I ended up accepting my full-time employment for, and which is at the firm that I now currently work
Yeah.
at.
Okay, so the 1L summer internship, it doesn't matter as much as the 2L, or it kind of sets you up for.
It totally can. I received an offer to go back for my 2L summer, and had I gone back to that Atlanta firm, I would have also secured an offer for
Full time.
Yeah, so which is really
Crazy,
great.
yeah.
Crazy that I secured that my first
Yeah,
year of law.
it could have been done at
Yeah,
that
I
point.
could have totally been done. I just wanted to go
yeah,
to a
yeah.
different geographic location. Yeah.
In law, you have to figure out geographically where you want to be-ish.
Yes, I do think
Which
a lot of
which is a lot to try to
it's
figure
so
out.
much. It is so much to figure out, especially as somebody had just decided to go to law school like 6 months prior.
Also, just lived in a bunch of different.
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in LA, and then I went to college at Johns Hopkins in
Yeah.
Baltimore, and I studied abroad in Paris. So I lived in Paris for 6 months, and then I came to New York City, did consulting here, where Katie and I really became really great friends. And then I moved to Nashville, went to law school there, and then did my 1L summer in Atlanta, and then my 2L summer in New York, and now I live in New York again. So been around.
Yeah, which is so crazy.
Been
that you have
around
to-
town a little.
Okay, and then just talking about now your day-to-day life as a corporate lawyer, what does that typically look like? I know probably your days can depend on the deals that you're on, but yeah, on an average week, what does that look like?
Yeah, I love getting this question and answering it because there is no answer, because there is no typical average week.
Yeah.
My day-to-day can change so much. There could be days where I bill 1 hour, and there are
Yeah.
days where I bill
No,
double
so
that
much, yeah.
and more. Not double.
No, wait,
one,
not
that's too-
2 hours.
Clearly not a math girl anymore. Well, where I bill double digits, high into the double digits. And when I say bill, I mean work. So that's bill means you are doing client chargeable work. So any work that I do, we bill by the hour, which means the client pays us by the hour. So I would say, let's say if you're billing 7 hours, I would say maybe you're working 9-ish hours. So even if you're billing a lot, you're probably working a little bit more than that, just with how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah.
But I would say a typical day. So I'm a finance lawyer. I work on credit. What that means is I represent large financial institutions in their lending. So in their loans, which I think is the easiest way to describe that. And the main agreement for a loan is called a credit agreement. And this is a 300-page,
Document,
heavy financial terms, technical. It's hard to read, frankly, if you're not a finance lawyer or a banker. So I'm a second year, like I mentioned, I'm 2 years in. That document is really being addressed by the more seniors and the partners, the senior associates and the partners of my group. There are also tons of ancillary documents that are all attached to this large credit agreement. And that's where the junior associates are, I want to say, circulating around, right? So that's where you learn. So I would say a typical day for me is answering tons of emails. I get hundreds of emails a day. I would say typical days, maybe I'm getting around 150 emails. A busy day, double that maybe. I don't know how the math turns out.
Yeah.
But I'm getting and sending, and every group is different and every firm is different.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful to be at the firm that I'm at because they give the juniors a lot of responsibility if you're willing to take it. And so I am just leading work streams in terms of communication. So like answering client emails, answering deal emails, intra-deal emails with my own deal team. I'm also answering opposing counsel emails. Clients will call. I'm like taking a first pass at reviewing a lot of these ancillary agreements. So it's a sedentary job. I don't think anybody thought lawyers were
No one's
active.
running around. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say I'm in Outlook the most, and then also Word docs. So I don't do, even though I'm a finance lawyer, I'm not in Excel.
Okay.
That's very
Because you
rare.
guys are reviewing and editing different parts of the document.
Exactly. We're not modeling. That's what the bankers do.
Yeah. And how often or how many deals are you typically on at a time?
Yeah, so it depends. When I was an M&A attorney, I would say I was on 5 to 6 matters at a time. And in finance, I'm on anywhere from 8 to 11.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's a little bit more in finance because the timeline of the deals are shorter. So in M&A, the deals are, let me just clarify. In M&A, you're buying and selling companies. In finance, you're working with loans. So you're either representing the banks who are giving the money for the person to buy a company, or you're just doing a natural, like Katie has a company and she has a revolver of $1 billion and the bank is giving her $1 billion just like to pay her employees and like whatnot, her
Like
expenses.
I'm borrowing and I need an agreement.
Yes,
also
you as an
yeah.
entity, not you as a person.
Yeah.
So those are the two different types of transactions. And what was the question?
A typical deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many deals are you on at a time?
Yeah. And so the M&A deals, I would say, last longer versus the finance deals. Maybe a typical turnaround time is 3-ish months for a finance deal versus an M&A, maybe 6-ish.
Oh, okay.
Maybe?
So you could be on one deal for half a year.
Yes. I was on this huge public deal basically the entire time that I was on this group from like signing to closing. And oh my gosh, it was so intense.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Because you're going back and forth with the other
opposing counsel with my own deal team, we're like the client team, we're communicating with them. Yeah, it's a
lot. Yeah.
It's a lot both ways. But yeah, I would say the deals just last longer in M&A.
And like hours wise, like are you going into the office 9, 10?
It's a good question. Look, I'm a very truthful person. I speak very
please
frankly.
be honest about your
I
hours.
work in an industry where I need to be available 24/7. That's just the way that it is. And I was aware that was what the job required of me before I accepted my offer. It's not for everybody, right? If you don't want that type of job, maybe don't go into, I want to say, banking, big law. Anything else?
I think banking
maybe,
and big law are
and
probably
residency, maybe. You know, these are quite demanding of your time. I'm willing to do it because I'm learning so freaking much and I really love my firm. So if a client slash the deal slash my own deal team needs me at 6:00 in the morning on a Sunday, I'm up, right? That's so rare. Okay. Typically, I would say I'm online by 9:30.
Okay.
And I work with whatever that day demands of me.
Right.
So I try to leave the office maybe around 6 or 7, but I'm still online and available to my deal. Yeah, I would say until at least 10 p.m.
Okay.
every night. And if I don't have a deal closing or there isn't another imminent deadline, then I try to log off by 10 p.m. But often that doesn't happen, and I'm okay with that because that is just the nature of the job.
But is it typically by that 10 p.m. time if you're going to be working late?
Yeah, you'll know. By 10 p.m. for sure, you'll know if you need to be awake.
Later than that.
Sometimes,
like a 5,
maybe at 11 p.m., you'll get something. And if you're already asleep by then, you're asleep and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
But I like to be available. I just think it makes you a better associate and a better teammate.
Yeah.
So if I see it at 11 p.m., then I'm going to address it if it needs to be done urgently. But if I'm asleep or something, there's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah. And as you progress in your career in big law, do your hours typically get better as you become more senior, or how much of the workload is put onto the junior lawyers versus senior?
It's a good question. I think this is where we differ from banking because I think in banking, the more senior you get, the better it gets, perhaps. In big law, I don't want to speak for every big law industry across the board. I can just speak to be a corporate big law associate. I don't think the hours get better.
Okay.
I want to preface by saying I'm a second year, so I don't know in actuality if the hours get better. I think what happens is you have more control over when you're deciding to do the hours.
Okay.
Here, as a junior, I don't have much control. I brought my work laptop with me today.
In case something comes up.
And what happens when you get more senior is, let's say something comes in at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to address it that night, but often it's, hey, over the next 3 days, we need XYZ. So you have a little bit more time on when to address if the 6 hours you're going to need to put into like XYZ agreement versus if I'm out on a Saturday night at 8 p.m. and something comes in.
Like you're expected to do it. Yeah.
And that's also, I don't know how often something is coming in at 8 p.m. that I had no idea was going to come in at 8 p.m. That's also a little bit more rare, but you work a lot in big law across the board. I think no matter.
Just looking at something you have to
It's
accept.
just the industry, yes. And the reason why people do that is because the pay is very well compensated the more senior that you get. And we can talk about that if you want.
Yeah. And then apart from, you're saying you love your job because you're learning so much. Are there other aspects of the job that you really like, such as your team, or how many people are typically in your class, you would say? And
oh my gosh,
how does that work?
I'm obsessed with my life. And I will say, if you are watching this and you and what I'm saying is attractive to you, talk to other Big Law associates as well that you can reach out to, because I think I am uniquely positive.
Yeah.
And I've been told that I'm uniquely positive, but I just really enjoy the life that I've created for myself. Not a lot of people enjoy the industry because it is so demanding. And a part of why I enjoy the life that I've created for myself is because I love the people I work with. So again, in New York City, Big Law is a little bit different than in other geographic areas. My summer associate class was around 200 people, which, fun fact, was bigger than my law class at Vanderbilt.
What?
Yes,
That's
my
crazy.
law school class was 150, 160, I think, and my summer associate class at my firm is 200, which
And
is
that's
nuts.
like the same year, right?
Yeah, the same year. And we just got along really well. We made a lot of memories together during our summer associate internship. And
Also just had a very fun internship
Yes,
structure.
it's
Always events or
it's
fun
so
events. Yeah.
Yes, it's created for you to bond with your class, basically. And even beyond that, just my seniors on my deal teams, the partners, I'm very happy in that sense because everybody's so collaborative and I never feel like I'm left in the dust. So it's very rare that if I'm up at 11 p.m., other people are also on my deal team are not also up.
Yeah.
We're all
Like everyone is in it together.
Yes, it's a very team collaborative environment in that way, which I really gravitated towards. And so I really enjoy that because when you're in the trenches working so much, it's so much better to do it with people that you enjoy with. Yeah. And so I really like that aspect of it. I also like that because I work at a big firm, like there's, I think, hundreds of lawyers in my office. It's also the office itself.
It's
Like
fun.
we have our own cafeteria, so I get lunch with my friends every day, which is so fun.
Which
Like
is just a fun aspect of
it's
job.
it's so fun. I see my work friends outside of the office probably at least once a weekend. We go on walks, we get lunch or dinner. We're obsessed with each other.
Yeah.
I have traveled internationally with one of my girlfriends. I went to the Cayman Islands with her from work last year, and just on our own volition.
Yeah.
And we're going to Italy together again this
So
summer.
fun.
Yeah, so the people matter a lot, and I love that aspect of it.
Yeah, totally. I think similar to Tiff's experience at her firm at Goldman, it was very similar where you come into the job with a class of people that are in your same age, and it's just really because you're working so much, it's really fun to be able to work together with your team and get to know everyone. And sometimes you get to hang out with them outside of work too. So I think overall it's just a great experience in terms of in terms of a team collaborative environment.
Yeah, I think that structure helps a lot at Goldman. At these big law firms, you don't start at a random date by yourself. You're starting with your class. And for some reason that really helps with the bonding. And it's like an extension of school. So fun. It's very fun.
And then you alluded to this earlier, but can you talk about, because you're a second year lawyer, but what is really the path in big law?
Yeah. So again, different at every firm, but I'll speak maybe for New York firms, whatnot. It's also different between corporate and litigation.
Okay.
So, I should preface also the fact that I'm a corporate lawyer means that I do not go into court and litigate. Litigators are the types of lawyers you see often on TV. They're addressing the judge, they're saying objection, all these things. That's not what I do. I'm a transactional lawyer, also known as a deal lawyer, also known as a corporate lawyer. So I work on deals. I never go into court. I basically work on these multi-million, billion-dollar deals, helping institutions like Katie worked to do all these things, basically. Yeah. But anyway, so the trajectory is you're an associate from maybe your first year to... Depends on how quickly each firm promotes people, but maybe till 7th or 8th year.
Okay. So it's the same title-ish from
So it depends at every firm.
Okay.
Some firms just have associate and partner. Some firms have associate, senior associate, partner. Some firms have associate counsel partner.
Okay. So it depends from firm to firm.
And I can walk through all of these basically mean the same thing regardless of title because the year is so evident in big law.
Okay. Can you say I'm a second year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So often how we address ourselves, I'm a second year, I'm a fourth year, whatnot. And then your pay increases also with every single year, which is similar to working at a big financial institution, but is dissimilar to a lot of other industries. I think in You can look up
Like you essentially know every year your comp is going to go up.
exactly.
Okay.
And you know what the industry standard of the bonus is as well. So
Okay.
it's a very salary transparent industry, and you can look it up. You can Google Big Law pay scale and it'll come up to see how much that we make. But because of that, it's like it's just known.
Okay.
It's like very well known. And I would say you have ability to make partner around earliest, maybe your 7th year.
Okay.
And again, different at every firm, but earliest is the 7th year. And I think that used to be the case 20 years ago. Now it's more so 8th to 10th year.
Oh, wow.
Is
so
when
it's like pushed back a little bit.
yeah. And I think that it's been pushed back a little bit because not that the talent is better, but I think the big law partners are just making so much money these days. You can also look up the way to find out how much big law partners are making is to Google profits per equity partner, big law firms, and you will see how much these firms are making. The average, the top 3 firms, okay, the partners are making $10 to $12 million a year.
Which is nuts.
Nuts.
And it's because it's
Just
guaranteed,
awesome, but not
right?
in a way, not guaranteed, but like, yeah, if you're at a big shop, like you're bringing in big clients,
Right.
you have long-standing relationships, you're also the best in your industry,
Right.
you're excellent at what you do, and probably helping these clients facilitate billions and billions of dollars in
Right.
transactions or saving them billions of dollars in these
Legal,
litigations.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not saying it's not deserved at all because it very much, I think
And it's
it
also
is.
like the 7-8 years of hard work that they put in.
And I think that's why, and a lot of people obviously don't make partner because it's a very demanding industry and there's office politics and some people just don't want to, right? They self-select out. But for those who stay, I think that's why they do what they do because the learning is so excellent. You're getting trained by the best in the industry. And if you do want to stay, you have the opportunity to make millions and millions of dollars a year.
Which is nuts. And then can you talk about, or if someone does not want to pursue that partner track or at any point they want to exit big law, typically
where do they go?
what do people do?
They can do a
Anything.
lot.
Yeah.
So I would say the most typical is they either lateral to a different big law firm
Okay.
or they go in-house. And what in-house means is instead of representing the company, you go and work as an in-house lawyer at the company. The difference is that you work more typical hours, so you work 9 to 5 if you go in-house. But unfortunately, the compensation also goes down. Usually it goes, my understanding is that it goes down a lot. So you don't get compensated as much as big law does when you go in-house.
But you go for the work-life balance.
It's a lifestyle choice, I think, if you want to go in-house. Or I think I don't know. I honestly haven't explored that option because I'm really happy at my firm, so I'm not sure how much the comp is different, but it's pretty well known that the compensation is pretty different. Got it. You can also go and work at a bank as a lawyer there. You can go work as a non-lawyer. I've actually seen a couple people leave to go be professors, which is really cute.
Or just general
And
business
at law
or
schools,
okay.
or at an undergrad, some law adjacent professorship.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really
That's
cute. You can do a
Yeah.
lot. I think a JD is a very versatile degree. Oftentimes, JDs obviously work as lawyers, but I think you can do a lot of things.
Yeah, my uncle has a JD, but I don't think he uses.
yeah.
He's not a lawyer, or he's not a practicing lawyer.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think the law degree does. I always say that I think the law degree has one of the best ROIs.
Oh, I think so too.
Not from a compensation perspective, and then also from just a versatility application perspective. But yeah, I think what you touch a lot about on big law, how it is very demanding, is what type of person is not suited for big law?
Great question. I think if you don't want to work a lot, and I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Speaking as somebody who I think is a very ambitious person and is okay working a lot, I think it is. I don't think everybody has to be that way.
Yeah.
Very okay if you don't want to work a lot. I would just do that analysis about yourself before going to law school and putting yourself in $300,000 of debt if that's what you need to do to afford law school, and before accepting a big law job because you work a lot. And somebody who also wants to have complete time control over their schedule, you're not going to enjoy big law because you have to fully give yourself over to somebody else's timeline because we're in a client service industry. And when you start junior, your seniors and your partners are also people you have to schedule around. Report to. So I would say if you really want to maximize, because listen, there are tons of ways to make millions of dollars. I'm just going to be super honest. You don't have to go into a corporate industry to make a bunch of money.
Right.
If your only goal is to maximize the amount of money that you're making,
Wrong.
wrong.
Wrong
Go do
choice.
something. You got to go be a business owner, maybe. Go be an entrepreneur. Go pursue some other kind of route. But if you like being in an academic environment, you like prestige, you like representing or having connections with other prestigious institutions, and you want to be in that type of world, big law might be really great for you.
Yeah. And then just going back to, at what point in the big law journey are you trying to win new clients? Is that more of a senior thing?
I think it depends on the type of big law firm, to be honest.
Okay.
These New York firms, especially the top firms, and when I say top 10, top 15, are
like
I'm
already
just gonna be
prestigious.
frank, are so elite that
you don't need to win new clients.
Yes, they have long-standing relationships with huge institutions, and they continue to do business with them. Obviously, if those institutions are unhappy, then you need to be worried.
Yeah.
But because they are so elite that the business development aspect of it isn't really done until the partnership level.
Okay.
So you don't really need to bring in a client to become partner.
Okay.
I'm sure that would help.
Right.
If you did that. But these elite institutions are already very reputable in their own sense.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then partner, does that typically mean that they have a share of the...
Oh, great question. Again, firm dependent. So most firms now have a non-equity tier of partner.
Okay.
So back in the day, what partner used to mean was like, yes, you have to be a shareholder. You basically buy into the firm and you're an equity holder / owner of part of the firm.
Yeah.
Nowadays, a lot of times there's 2 tiers. So there's
Okay.
income partner, which colloquially we call PINO, which is partner in name only because
Oh,
you're not
God.
actually
Yeah.
an equity partner. And then there's a shareholder partner and equity partner. I would say most firms now have an income partner tier.
Okay. That's like the lower tier.
Yeah,
Or-
it's just like when you're first made partner, you're still receiving a salary. You're not receiving profit shares of the firm, but some also only have an equity tier.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So it depends.
It just depends on the firm. Yeah, and this isn't often something that's publicized. Usually, it's just like an intra-firm or intra-industry known thing.
Yeah. And then just going back to what you were talking about, billing hours, are you reporting how many hours you work a day to someone, or how does that work? Yeah. What does that mean in
So a part of why I actually love my job a lot is because I don't feel like I have a boss. Nobody's really tracking what time I get to the office. Nobody's tracking what time I leave, which I really enjoy. I basically report to my own deal teams.
Okay.
And again, it's firm dependent, but you bill your time on a software.
Yeah.
And your group is aware, the leadership of your group is aware of how much you're billing. And again, this is also firm dependent. So some firms have a centralized staffing model where a non-attorney / more administrative role is
Like a
foresees.
staffer?
Yes. Non-lawyer role foresees how much you're billing and will put you on assignments. And some other firms have like a more of a free market system where the partners are keeping track of how much each associate is billing. The partners are going to staff you just based off of what's available or relationships with the associates. So there's a dual tier model. Yes.
Got it.
So somebody's looking. I guess it's also firm dependent if they're going to get mad at you if you're billing too little.
Okay.
Yeah, that's never happened in my experience. But again, I like to work, so I don't.
There's
really-
always work to be.
Yeah, especially if you're one of these top firms where in New York too, there's so much work in New York that I feel like
There's always work to go around. And then just jumping around, going back to law school, applying to law school, is there any tips that you would give to someone who's looking to apply? What actually matters on the application?
Yes, great question. If you're an undergrad, right, I would say maximize your GPA as much as possible and get a great LSAT score. If you're thinking about law school post undergrad and maybe you don't have as good of a GPA as you would like, maximize the LSAT score as much as possible because that's a representation of who you are currently. So if you graduated graduated undergrad 5 years ago and you're applying now and you get 70th percentile on your LSAT and you want to go to a top school, that LSAT score is a representation of you now, right? Versus the GPA is a representation of 5 years ago. So the LSAT score, I think, is more important for that. I also am a very big activities person. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Like I said, I was pre-med and I still went to law school. You just want to be involved in the community somehow. You want to have a leadership role in something that intrigues you and something that you can talk about in these interviews. But I think those are the three things. So GPA, if you have control over it, right?
Yeah.
If you're an undergrad, LSAT score probably is number one regardless of GPA.
Okay.
And then also activities. I'm a big activities person. I was big on activities in law school.
Extracurriculars.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what I mean, extracurriculars. I think that really also shows these law schools the type of person that you are.
And is there an interview process for all the schools, or
I don't-
just dependent?
I'm remembering back. I don't think I interviewed for Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt
Okay.
has interviews, but I didn't interview. I interviewed for some of the law schools in the city.
Yeah.
So I think it's just school dependent.
dependent.
It's not as like in medical school you have to interview. It's not as strict as
Yeah,
that.
okay. And do most people take gap years between post?
Yeah, the average is 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so the average is a 2-year gap year. You don't have to do that. I highly recommend a gap year, though. I think it really.
I think it matures. Or it's kind of same for med school too. I
Yeah.
think people should take gap years.
Also, I just think if you're doing law school to go into big law, it's very helpful to have a different job. It's very helpful for big law to not be your first job you have outside of school.
You need something to comp it to. Yeah.
Yeah, because also I think having a job is so important because you have so much fun in school. And up until most people, before they graduate college, you've never had a
shit,
full-time
right.
job, right? You have summer internships. It's not like you took a gap year from 18 to 19 and did
Yeah.
a full-time corporate job. I don't even know if that exists, right? So having a corporate adjacent job
Yeah.
full-time where you're expected to go to the office 9 to 5, 9 to 7, whatever it is, and your time even in that isn't your own and like you're
Right.
expected to show up, helps you understand, oh, I actually don't like this at all. I need to go be a business owner. I need to go be an entrepreneur because I freaking hate this. Versus, oh, this isn't that bad. And if I'm going to do it, I might as well go make a bunch of money.
Exactly.
You know, type
yeah,
vibe.
yeah.
So,
It's more just to learn more about yourself and things that
Yes.
you like or don't like.
totally.
Okay, and then just last big section is on AI.
Yeah.
And just curious how AI is implemented in your work, if at all, right now, and where do you see that going, like in the next 1 to 3 years?
Yeah. So again, I think AI implementation in big law is also firm dependent. Some firms have very much embraced it, and the associates are using them daily,
Yeah.
have their own prompts. Some prompts are 2 pages long.
Okay.
And they're these AI. I'm not talking about like ChatGPT or Claude. These are like law specific AIs that people are using. And then some firms also have not embraced it at all and have said, look, like our clients don't want this client like sense
AI,
highly confidential information being put into like yet another software that like we don't even know if the security is strong enough. So very firm dependent.
Okay.
These days, some firms are very bullish and have invested tons, and some are like, you know what, I'd rather let other people do it first. Because there was this big scandal recently from one of these firms in courts, actually, where like one of these firms was using AI and submitted a brief to a judge that was just riddled with fake cases. Like they were citing fake cases that didn't exist because they used AI. It's a big
it's
thing
like
right now in law.
yeah.
It's like AI hallucinates these
Yeah.
cases. And it was like in the legal world, it was like a big deal, which was hilarious.
Wait, that makes sense though, because I feel like in law, a lot of things are very confidential.
Yes.
And so you can't really train the AI model using these confidential resources and documents.
Yeah, and very
So-
client specific.
Right.
And if you're gonna train an AI model, are you really gonna use client sensitive deal covenants basically in one agreement? Then is the AI model going to be trained from, let's say, that for a
Right.
different client? Then it's
Yeah,
gonna, you know, and
it's
that's
hard,
just
it's
that's a
hard.
whole mess. So I actually I understand some big law firms' hesitation towards implementing AI. I do think it is going to have some sort of effect on the industry.
Yeah.
Do I think it's going to make lawyers obsolete? Absolutely not.
I know. I feel like
actually-
it seemed like law is one of the places that AI is
it's
going to
going to be
tackle
totally
more. Yeah.
obliterate, and I don't think that's true. We'll see if I'm taking the right bet. But if I'm being honest, in order for AI to have any type of impactful like outcome, impact basically on law, the laws need to be changed to allow for that. And guess who has control over the laws changing? Lawyers. Guess who's not going to make their own profession obsolete? Lawyers. At least that's my opinion of it. And I just don't think anybody who's going to make their own profession
Right.
obsolete.
Yeah,
What
I
I
mean,
do
yeah, that
think
makes
is going to
sense.
happen though is I think in big law, for example, it's going to get even more competitive than it already is. So like I was saying earlier, my summer class was 200. Maybe that gets cut down to 70. right?
my
Which
God,
is
yeah.
big. That's a big number. So I think that
It's just overall
the
going to be so
spots are just going to
competitive.
be more and more competitive because once AI is implemented, it's just going to it's going to streamline efficiencies, and you're
Yeah.
just not going to need as many people.
Yeah. And to get the big law internship, is it typically similar your GPA, law
To
school?
secure, yeah.
Yeah, or like
I would say
networking.
because recruiting happens so early on, I think they still look at your undergrad GPA.
Yeah.
I don't remember submitting my LSAT score to any of these shops, but they look at your law school GPA and they look at the activities.
Okay, so what you
Yeah.
do during law school also matters in terms of being involved.
I think that's what secured my big law offers. And I'll just speak freely. I think I had a very successful recruiting cycle
Yeah.
because I approached it really intentionally. I was really, to be frank, on my stuff, to be
Yeah.
frank. And I think that my activities and my extracurriculars is what set me apart because I was very involved and had a lot to talk about.
For sure. And then just to finish it off, is there any 2 to 3 pieces of advice that you would give maybe your younger self or a current college student today that is interested in law?
Yeah, actually.
Or just general advice too.
Yeah, I would. So Katie and I went to the same college, but we became friends post college. I was a very serious college student. I still had a great time. I look back and I had a great positive time at Hopkins, but I was high strung. I was stressed. Every exam was life or death for me.
God.
Yeah, no, it was.
And also pre-med at Hopkins is very intense.
Thank you for
Yeah.
saying that.
I dropped pre-med after.
You were pre-med?
Yeah, I went in freshman year as pre-med.
I did not know
But
that.
I didn't even get to Orgo.
Oh,
I
that's
literally was
so
just
funny.
intro chem that broke me.
Yeah, so pre-med at Johns Hopkins
It's
is
meant to weed out
Yeah,
people
so-
that like me.
like by far, like I pre-med at Johns Hopkins harder than law school in my opinion.
Oh,
And
for sure.
I
don't
and
think
maybe
that's a
because
shock.
you're so
Yeah.
young too. When I was going through that in law school, I did not think my exams were life or death. I was like, oh, this will be fun, you know. But it really, I was so serious as a college student. And do I regret being that way? No, because it gave myself so many opportunities.
Right.
I kind of had my pick and my lay of the land of like what I wanted to do. So I'm very grateful for that. But I think I still could have done very well and not been so intense. And
yeah.
maybe this is just typical of a Hopkins student. Like I think Johns Hopkins undergraduates are very
Like work
ambitious
hard,
and
plan
like
out.
they,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
work very, very hard. But I think I didn't have to be so serious about it.
Okay.
Like if you meet me now, I'm very like a light and
Yeah.
airy person. I have a very like personality, and I don't think I was that way. In undergrad, it was very serious. So I would just tell my younger self and any serious college student, like deep breath and enjoy the journey a little
Right.
bit more because it really is beautiful and you are going to be, and I don't want to say you're going to be okay because I think it's okay to encourage young people who want to be insanely successful that like, yes,
be ambitious.
you
Yeah.
can be ambitious and you can be very successful, but you can also have a lot of fun while you're
Yeah,
doing it.
yeah.
So
I
that's
know,
the
okay,
biggest
college
thing.
is like the one time, really, it's your only time in your life that you'll have a 4-year experience
Totally.
with people exactly your same age.
Totally, totally. And I would say I had the time of my life in law school too. I
Yeah.
had a great time. So I'm very grateful for that experience as well. I think graduate school also gives
It's
you
fun.
another. Yeah, Katie's going to go to Wharton.
Yeah,
She's gonna about to have this as well. But that's one thing just in general that I would give. And particularly to anybody considering law school, don't partake in activities or classes that you think law schools want to see. I think it's a very typical mistake that lawyers who have wanted to be lawyers their whole lives have made. I didn't have that mistake to make because I was a pre-med. So I didn't know I wanted to be a lawyer until much later on. But I think a lot of lawyers think that they have this idea of what being a lawyer is like. And so live their undergraduate experience or their high school or anything else with like blinders on, being like, yes, I'm going to be a lawyer, and they only take certain types of classes.
Yeah.
And that kind of shuts you off from like the rest of the world.
Right.
And then they end up becoming lawyers, and I think they're kind of unhappy because they never
Or try something.
exactly. I ended up being a lawyer because of like
Like twists and turns
yeah,
in your
twists and
journey.
turns, and
Yeah.
I'm really happy. But I think if you don't give yourself the opportunity to try other things, you won't know that law is actually for you because
Right.
you've canceled other things out. So I would say just stay open-minded.
Yeah, that's the one regret I had in college is that I felt like I tried to take so many classes that fit my major, and like I just didn't
Really?
really try. I feel like there were fun classes that I just
Totally.
eliminated
Same,
because I was
probably.
like,
Yeah.
what's the point of taking this if it's not giving me credit towards my major?
Yeah.
But now I look back and I'm like, oh, I kind of wish I took that one fun class
Yeah,
or something. Yeah.
totally
Yeah.
get that. Yeah.
But yeah. All right. Well, thank you,
Yeah.
Tiff. A great conversation about big law and Tiff's journey to get there.
Yeah, happy to be here. And if you liked what you heard, follow me at Tiff the Lawyer on Instagram and TikTok.
Woo! All right. Thank you.
Love you.